If you've hired a sales rep in the last year who didn't work out, this will explain exactly why. Most business owners focus on resume and experience when hiring salespeople, but the real predictors of failure happen in the first 10 minutes of the interview and no one's watching for them. We've placed over 20,000 sales reps across 1,000 plus companies to date, and I can predict who will fail before they even start. And the part that will shock you is these 6 red flags are so obvious that once you know them, you'll wonder how you ever miss them. So why does this matter? Well, when a sales hire goes wrong, it doesn't just cost you a base salary and a bit of time. It costs you pipeline. It costs you deals that should have closed. It distracts you and your leadership team. And it delays the targets you're building your entire business around. The frustrating part is that on paper, these reps often look amazing. Big logos on the resume, impressive titles, nice LinkedIn profile, great references. But for doing this so long for our portfolio companies, I've seen the same failure patterns over and over and over again. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 6 red flags that instantly disqualify reps before you hire them, even if they look good on paper. And make sure you stick around for number 6, because that one overrides every other signal you think you're seeing in an interview. Number 1, they've only sold with strong brands behind them. Here's the first red flag that quietly costs companies thousands of dollars. You hire a rep who's only ever worked at big name, well-established companies. Most hiring managers see that and think, nice, well, if they sold for that company, they can definitely sell for us. But here's what I've learned placing over 20,000 reps. Selling with an established brand is completely different from selling for a company no one knows. At Hyperhired, we see this failure pattern constantly. These candidates are used to walking into conversations where the prospect already knows them and already trusts the company. They're used to people recognizing the logo. They're used to having the marketing do a ton of the heavy lifting. They're used to social proof and case studies that instantly create credibility for them. So when they come to your startup or mid-market business where not everyone has heard of you yet, they suddenly have to do a completely different job. Now they have to build credibility from scratch. They can't lean on the brand. They have to create trust in you, your product, and your company in real time. And a lot of them just haven't built that muscle. The playbook is totally different when you don't have brand recognition doing half the selling for you. So if you're hiring and you see a rep whose entire career is stacked with huge household name companies, pause and ask yourself, have they ever had to create demand and trust without the logo doing the talking for them? If the answer is no, that's red flag number 1. Case in point, we had a client in the beverage industry, which was an upstart company, who was looking for experienced reps in order to boost their client base in New York. We got them about a dozen candidates who fit exactly this, but the ones who were used to selling Corona, Budweiser, and Jack Daniels, they didn't make it because they were used to laydown sales where the brand was doing most of the selling for them. Red flag number 2 will save you from some really expensive hiring mistakes. It's when a candidate has only sold in environments where the product was naturally easier to sell. Maybe they sold something where the buyer already understood the value right away. Maybe they sold a product that was obviously superior to the alternatives, so there was almost no real competition. Maybe their market was so hot that people were basically falling out of their chairs with credit cards in hand. In my experience, these reps often melt when they hit real resistance. They've never ever been faced or had to educate a skeptical buyer, navigate a crowded competitive landscape, defend pricing when they're not the obvious choice, or stay in the conversation when the prospect isn't excited right away. On the flip side, when we place reps who've sold in slightly harder environments, more complex products, tougher markets, longer sales cycles, something interesting happens. When you give them something even marginally easier to sell than what they're used to, they absolutely fly. They're used to handling objections. They're used to getting punched in the face a bit and staying in the deal. They don't panic when a buyer isn't instantly sold. But if you take someone from an easy sale environment and then put it into a challenging one, they struggle. They've never had to truly earn the sale. So in the interview, don't just ask, what did you sell? Instead ask, how hard was that sale really? What kind of resistance did you face? What made those deals tough to win? If they can't articulate that, that's your second red flag. Red flag number 3 is one that almost all of our clients trip over before they work with us. They assume selling skills skills transfer across all price points. After placing reps across pretty much every price range, I can tell you this: that's just not true. Selling a low-ticket monthly product is often a 1 or 2 call close. The buyer might be one person. The risk is low. The decision is quick. Selling a high-ticket solution is a completely different sport. And with that, now you're navigating multiple stakeholders, overcoming a lot of limiting beliefs, dealing with procurement, justifying ROI in detail, managing sometimes months-long sales cycles, and keeping momentum in a complex decision process. The motions are completely different. At Hyperhired, we always match candidates to similar price points. We've just seen too many failures when there's a mismatch. You bring in someone who's only ever sold small deals, and they often don't have the patience, the structure, or the mindset for long, complex cycles or more consultative sales processes. They get nervous when deals take time. They chase the quick win. They burn relationships trying to push something that simply can't be closed in 1 or 2 calls, or they just aren't used to overcoming limiting beliefs in order to collect a large 4 or 5-figure sum from a prospect. So when you're interviewing, don't just look at their title. Look at their deal size and ask, is this even remotely similar to what we sell? If the answer is no, and they can't demonstrate experience working in your price neighborhood, that's another major red flag. Now, if you're watching this and realizing you've hired someone with these red flags before and they didn't work out, you're not alone. Most of our clients come to us after making these exact mistakes. Here's the reality. Knowing these red flags is one thing, but having a system that consistently finds and places top performers is completely different. If you're tired of wasting time and money on sales hires that don't work out, let's talk. I'll show you exactly how we guarantee the right sales rep for your business. The link is down in the description. Just go ahead and click it, book a call with my team, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. All right, let's get back into the red flags so you can tighten up your interview process immediately. Red flag number 4 is about support environment. A lot of candidates look great on paper, but when you dig into where they came from, you realize they only function in one extreme. On one side, you've got reps from massive organizations. They had technical teams, they had solution specialists, they had operations teams, they had an admin team processing everything, they had enablement, training, marketing, the whole machine behind them. And they often don't even realize how much they depended on that infrastructure. So when we place those reps into leaner companies with minimal support, where you might have one sales ops person, no dedicated enablement, and limited marketing, those people often drown. They're suddenly expected to build their own outreach, customize their own materials, run their own demos end to end, keep the CRM clean without a small army behind them, so on and so forth. A lot of them have never actually done that. On the other side, you've got reps who've worked in complete isolation. No support, no training, no real structure. They've just had to figure everything out alone. Sometimes that creates great scrappy sellers, but other times they've never learned how to collaborate, leverage team resources, or plug into any kind of system. So they come into your org and either ignore the structure that you do have, or they just don't know how to use it. But the sweet spot is someone who's had foundational support, who's had to wear multiple hats and figure things out themselves. In the interview, ask very directly, what kind of support did you have around you? Who handled what parts of the process? What did you own completely end to end? The more honest that answer is, the easier it is to see whether they'll actually function in your environment. Now let's go over red flag number 5. They come from much simpler industries. Red flag number 5 shows up at the time in our recruiting. It's when candidates try to transition from simple, straightforward industries into complex or regulated markets. And everyone assumes that will be an easy transition. Selling basic products to familiar buyers is very different from selling into sophisticated or regulated industries. In those environments, sales cycles are longer, there's more stakeholders, compliance and risk actually matter. The decision-making process is more layered and political. If someone has only sold simple products into simple markets, they often underestimate the learning curve. They're used to quick cycles, 1 or 2 main decision makers, or minimal legal or compliance friction. So when they suddenly have to deal with legal or procurement, security reviews, technical stakeholders, and a buying committee, it's overwhelming. Now, do you need someone with years in your exact niche? Not necessarily, but you do need someone who's already navigated complicated sales environments, someone who's had to manage multiple parties, someone who's had to keep a deal alive over months, not days, someone who isn't scared off by complexity. In your interviews, don't just ask, what industry did you sell into? Ask, how many stakeholders were involved in the average sale? How long did a typical deal take? What made those deals complex? If their previous world is dramatically simpler than yours, that's a big, big red flag. Case in point, someone who's done well for themselves demoing a one-size-fits-all software product is gonna struggle if they're thrown face first into an enterprise-level SaaS company that's dealing with hospital networks and whose ICP has HIPAA compliance requirements and other technical challenges for integration. Can they succeed? Sure, but you've gotta ask the right questions. And number 6, the most important one, you wouldn't buy from them yourself. Red flag number 6 is the one that overrides everything else we've spoken about. And it's something I tell every client. If you wouldn't buy your own product from this candidate, do not hire them. You, as a business owner or leader, know exactly what it takes to convince your customers. You've done sales yourself. You've heard the objections. You know what resonates with your market. You understand the tone, the confidence, and the presence it takes to close your ideal buyer. So when you're sitting across from a candidate or on a Zoom, ask yourself, honestly, if I were the prospect and this person was trying to sell me on our product, would I be confident putting down money with them? If the answer is anything short of a clear yes, that's a deal breaker. At Hyperhired, we've learned that a hiring manager's gut instinct about whether they'd personally buy from a candidate is often the most accurate predictor of success. Your leads are too precious to waste on someone that you don't completely trust to represent your company and close your prospects. So even if the resume looks great, even if the references are glowing, even if they've got all of the right buzzwords, if you wouldn't buy from them, don't hire them. So there you have it, the 6 red flags that instantly disqualify sales reps. If you've been struggling with sales hires that don't work out, now you know exactly what to watch for. But here's the thing, even with this knowledge, finding and placing the right sales rep still takes time, expertise, and a proven system. That's exactly what we do at Hyperhired. We handle the entire process and deliver you only the top 5 to 10% of candidates. So if you're ready to stop wasting time on bad hires and want to see how we can build your sales team, book a call with us. The link's in the description. Let's get you the sales reps who will actually drive revenue and growth for your business. This has been Josh for Hyperhired. I hope you have a great day. Go check out the rest of our videos here on YouTube, and we will talk to you soon. See you on the next one.